Mexico's midterm elections have been marred by one of its bloodiest campaigns, even in a country known for its drug cartel wars and soaring homicides. Some observers report that the number of election-related deaths is close to 150. On Sunday, a severed head was thrown into a polling station and 5 election workers were shot dead. Early results suggest President Andrés Manuel López Obrador's governing Morena party and its allies will be the largest, but it will not retain its 2/3 majority. And that could make it more difficult to push through his programme of social and institutional reforms. Will Grant reports now from Mexico City.
After one of the bloodiest campaigns in recent memory, most Mexicans went to the polls in an atmosphere of calm and with a certain degree of defiance. It has been an exhausting, violent election, so when the moment arrived to actually cast the ballot, for many it came as a relief. Just over half the electorate took the opportunity to either show the government their anger at the direction the country is taking or to mark their continued support. Several critical issues dominated. Firstly, the government's handling of the coronavirus pandemic.
I feel that the government never had a plan for the pandemic, nor do they have one now. It is unbelievable that we are going into the green light phase in Mexico City, the lowest alert level. For that alone, I came to vote.
And of course, Mexico's violent crime and the government's security policy also featured prominently.
We believed that this new government would change things, but in the end, it's the most corrupt. More than 90 candidates have been killed in this election period. So I think it's very important to go out and vote. Myself and everyone around me are very angry.
But outside well-heeled parts of Mexico City, feelings towards Mr. López Obrador are very different. Especially among the rural poor, the president and his Morena party tend to do well. His social policies and improved pensions have cemented his popularity. Even if, in the western state of Guerrero, armed vigilante groups were on hand in some villages to ensure the vote ran smoothly. President López Obrador himself has always insisted his administration is backed by the people. And as the votes were counted, his party claimed to have won most of the 15 state governorships that were up for grabs. But it became clear that while he retained control of the parliament, he won't enjoy the supermajority in Congress that he has had for the past 3 years.
As much as this vote was about local or state politics, for many voters it was undoubtedly a referendum on the president's past 3 years in office too. On COVID, crime and the economy, they voted on whether to affirm his mandate for the next 3. And in that sense, President López Obrador and his party remain in a commanding position in Mexico.
Still, it's not as commanding a position as he had hoped. His legislative agenda will be harmed by this and his much vaunted but vague vision of the 4th transformation of the country. But for many, this vote simply served to underline how far organised crime has permeated local politics in Mexico and seeped into the very apparatus of the state. Will Grant, BBC News, Mexico City.
Well, joining us now is Lourdes Heredia. She is a Mexican journalist at the BBC. What do you think this result means for the president and his agenda going forward?
As Will Grant was saying, this was a referendum for the 3 years of López Obrador. And I think it's clear that he still have a simple majority, and that's what we expect with the official results that we will only know next week. But he doesn't have the supermajority he enjoyed the first 3 years. So that means all constitutional changes, all very difficult reforms might be stopped by the Congress. So it's a very difficult situation Mexico is in, and a lot of people are unhappy of the way he behaved during COVID. The economy is not going as well. And one of his promises was no more crime. And we still have a lot of crime in Mexico. And that's one, the insecurity, as we could see during the elections, was one of the most violent elections. It's a clear reality of what's going on in the country. So, I mean, we have to wait for the official results, but it's definitely a referendum and saying, yes, you stay in command, but now there's going to be some checks and the Congress can stop some of your reforms.
You mentioned the violence that took place during the election. People in many parts of the world would be shocked if the number of people killed during an election happened in their country. Is this extraordinary in Mexico, or is this par for the course?
I think it just reflects what Mexico is going through, and it's shocking to see what happened even in the election. Some, severe head put in a police station. How can you think that can happen? But for Mexicans and all my family and my friends that I have in contact, they were not surprised by it. It's something that they live day by day, and I think they have lost the shocking factor. They just is part of the reality, and is something that is still, a promise from the president to stop these gangs, the drug wars, but it's still going on, and a lot of people keep, being killed and disappeared in a really, really horrible ways.
There's something else I want to ask you about, because the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, is on her first overseas trip. She'll be visiting Mexico as part of that. What do you think we can expect from that? What does it say about the relationship and how it differs from under the previous administration?
I mean, Kamala is very popular in Mexico, and if you can imagine, Trump wasn't. Trump, for a lot of Mexicans, was a really, really bad news to have him just next door, in one of the most powerful countries, and affecting a lot of politics in Mexico. So Kamala will be received with open arms. Of course, she's coming with an agenda, for example, for immigration. They want to stop the immigration coming through Mexico. A lot of it is not even coming from Mexico, but it's coming from Central America. And they want to have a policy together to stop these families being separated, but also all these migrants being treated so badly in Mexico. And then they go to the United States, and then they are separated families, and all these stories that we hear. But of course, comparing with the Trump administration, I think most of Mexico will receive Kamala Harris as, with open arms, and thinking she is really popular in Mexico.
Okay, Lourdes, we must leave it there. Lourdes Heredia, thank you very much.